Okay, actually I was just giving the talk on the other side for 1 hour. Then they asked me I have to come here and now moderate the session too. So anyway, we have 4 speakers today, distinguished speakers on the issue of economy and inclusive wealth, inclusive growth here. So if you, in the last PIDD 2014, there were some presentations on inclusive wealth. So if I may just give a brief this thing about inclusive wealth, and also you listen to the keynote addresses this morning, we noticed that there are 2 kinds of inclusiveness. One is the macro inclusiveness, and the other one is the micro inclusiveness. By macro, what I mean is like the way United Nations have defined it. United Nations have come up with the Inclusive Wealth Report. They have come up with 2 reports in 2012 and 2014. Inclusive Wealth Report that contains 3 main areas. One is the produced wealth, human wealth, and natural wealth. So if you remember, in those days when we compute the progress or wealth of a nation, we use GDP, gross domestic product. But gross domestic product does not even measure how the wealth is distributed. The later United Nations and others came out with the Human Development Index that includes the health aspects and the education aspects of the development. Yeah. But even with a good Human Development Index, we notice that it's still not enough. We destroy the environment. Look at the haze, right? So we realized that we need to also include the natural wealth, yeah? The natural wealth. So under GDP, if you have a tree in the jungle, it's not wealth. But if you cut down the tree, it is computed in the GDP. So cutting a tree is better when you have the computation is GDP as the measure of wealth. But in this measurement, human inclusive wealth index, if you cut down a tree, the natural wealth goes down, but the produced wealth goes up. So you need to do a cost-benefit analysis whether the reduction in the natural wealth is something desirable or not. Yeah. The other inclusiveness is whether all parties, no one should be left behind. Everyone should be included in the concept of development. Professor Ricardo Hausmann of Harvard, he used to write a lot on this. He calls them networks. Yeah? So how much of each individuals and economy, they have access to these networks, right? So we have 4, we will call upon 4 of our speakers up here. Mr. Abdul Halim, Abdul Aziz, can we have here from Deputy Director of Distribution Section of Economic Planning Unit. So could you please come up to the stage. And Dr. Muhammad Abdul Khalid, Director of Research, Khazanah Research Institute. And we have Dato Hafsah Hashim. Please come up. Who's the Chief Executive Officer of the SME Corp. And Dr. Saiful Mahdi, Senior Researcher, Universitas Syiah, Kuala, Aceh, Indonesia. So these are our 4 distinguished speakers will give us their views on economy and the inclusive growth. So let me give a brief introduction to our 4 speakers here. So having made a simple introduction, for complete this thing you can find in the program book. So because we don't have much time, so I'd like to give the time to the 4 the speakers. So let me call upon our first speaker, Mr. Abdul Halim Abdul Aziz, to give his talk. Yeah? So we'll give each one of them about 20 minutes. Thank you. Come, please.
Thank you, Professor Doctor. First of all, I would like to wish Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh and very good afternoon. I'm from Economic Planning Unit, the Prime Minister Department. So basically, our core business in the institutions is to develop a strategic plan for the country, for 5 years plan, as a very famous 5 years plan, and now we are approaching the time periods of 11 Malaysia plan. So to talk about the topic today, our role here is to ensure that the inclusive growth will be incorporated in the 5 years plan. The 5 years plan is for 11 Malaysia plan. The duration is, will be commencing started 2016 until 2020. So I will try to give some insight of the very macro level of strategic planning, which later on, or I mean not today, but maybe during the discussion, maybe we can go a bit more details about the plan. So as we all know, I think this plan already been presented to the Parliament by our Honourable Prime Minister about the theme of the 11 plan is about the anchoring growth on people. The word people here is very important to ensure that very important for the nation at this stage, especially approaching towards the high income nation by 2020, and also to prepare our people for the future. That's the most important thing, how we're going to prepare. And lastly, everyone should enjoy the growth of developments that we achieve in the development stage later. Basically, the most important word people here is to ensure that the inclusiveness is there in our planning, and to ensure that the implementation also will be inclusive, and it will be able to all of us in the country will have the feel of the developments that the governments and also the whole nation is experiencing. So in this case, we'd like to look into a little bit on the achievement that we already have since 1970s, which we have average or per annum GDP growth, real GDP growth at 6.2%, and also we also have 25 times increase per capita income. This is all these figures to show that our achievements since 1970s, and also we already have 0.6% incident of poverty. At the moment, we are reducing up to below 1% of poverty incidents. And also, at the moment, our household monthly income, which we achieve around 6,141 ringgit per month. And some figures, very interesting figures, is that 76.1% of the house, there's a home ownership in our country until 2014. Other than that, it's about the infrastructure. We can show here some facts that 95.1% have access to potable water, 97.6% have access to the electricity, and of course, nowadays, Malaysia is a top 20 investor-friendly destination in the state. That's some achievement that we can share here to show what is the our positions in the whole economy, in our global economy. So, in the 11 Malaysia plan, we have some different approach that we adopted in new, we so-called as a new dimension here, which mostly we are more action-driven, and we try to ensure that our focus is on the people, which so-called a people-centric, and also we have game changers that we identify that will change or transform our economy, and also lastly, last but not least, is taking into a long-term view, which we are thinking and also strategize for a long beyond 2020. So this action or these strategies in the 11 Malaysia Plan has been co-developed over 18 months of the stakeholders engagement, including the private sector and also NGOs, so that we have a clear and very we have a sense of all segments of life in our country, so that during this, when we come up with the strategies, we want to ensure that the strategy is meeting the needs and also the desire of our people. And also, this plan also is a lastly of the 2020 Vision 2020, and we make sure, we want to ensure that it's become the foundation for our future growth. Ladies and gentlemen, to make it more action-oriented, we have set some strategies, targets, and also initiatives that will be so that we can clearly identify, and then we set the targets to ensure that we can monitor and also to follow through the developments or the actions will be taken during the periods. So as you see on the slide, there's a strategies on the mainly on the 11 plan is first talking about the unlocking of the productivity potential to ensure sustainable and inclusive growth, and also promoting about the investments, promoting investments to spearhead the economic growth and increasing export, and also to enhance our fiscal flexibility to ensure sustainable fiscal position. So there's several initiatives, and the outcomes of the initiative should be, we put some here that to be targeted, the outcomes. For example, 9.4% of average growth of the real private investment. And also, we can see there, we put it about 291 billion ringgits average private investment in the current prices, I mean annually, so that we can sustain our developments in our country. You can see on the slide all those targets, which at the end of the day, we hope that we can achieve some targets with GDP growth at the 5 to 6% per annum of the GDP. Labor productivity increases from 73,000 ringgit to 92,000 ringgit in 2020. GNI per capita at 94,000 ringgit by 2020, and also the average monthly household income increases from 6,141 in 2014 to 10,540 ringgit in 2020. This is a part of elements of the inclusiveness to ensure that our household income will increase by 2020, and also on the employee compensations to the GDP will be increased from 34 currently to 40%. So to ensure that our employee have a equal share in terms of their productivity, and also the well-being of our Malaysian well-being index will be increased by 1.7% per annum. Some facts here, some projection here, I would like to share with to you this afternoon. This is some projection that has been made. For example, if you can see GNI per capita, what we targeted is 15,000 $15,690 US by 2020, which we will achieve this through because in World Bank the number or the figures or the income per capita or GNI per capita is around 12,000 to ensure that to make sure that we are in the high income country. On the right graph there, it shows that in terms of the average monthly household income, we projected the number to become around 10,540 on the average income, which is been shows that there is the target household income for 11 plan. In 11 plan, the growth will be driven by the domestic demand, as we all you can see currently our global economy is not really very stable. So the growth will be driven by the domestic demand and will increase contribution from the external sector. So in the 11 plan, the focus will be on a high quality private investment in manufacturing and services sector to create a high income job, and the public and private investment will be driven by the infrastructure projects such as the high-speed railway and so forth. Here, and the private consumption will increase in line with the country prosperity. Public consumption is expected to moderate due to prudent spending and the position's contribution from the net export. This is the directions that we already set in the 11 plan, so that by the 2020 we can achieve the targets and also the outcome that we desired. Next is about the next slide. I would like to show how the manufacturing and services sector contributing to the economy. Very important. These two sectors currently become the most important sectors in the country. As you can see in the slide, it shows that the growth of the manufacturing and services remain high, 5.1% and 6.9% respectively, to ensure that our economy will be sustained by 2020. As you can see from on the pie chart there, it shows that how it's contributed to the expected to contribute to the GDP. As you can see here, services should contribute 56.5%, as well as on the manufacturing at 22.1% of the GDP to the GDP. It's very important sectors that we need to look into, and I think most of us are aware about the importance of these sectors to our economy. So there's some micro figures and some aspect of points to consider that has been considered during the preparation of our plan, of the 11 plan. So this during preparation of the plan, we already set about it's a 6 strategic thrust to address and the needs of the rakyat, and we also set another 6 game changers to accelerate Malaysia's development. So as you see on the screen, the thrust 1 is talking about the enhancing inclusiveness towards an equitable society, which in this thrust, I think this thrust is what we're talking about in this forum, which in this thrust also we have one game changer, which we focus on the uplifting of B40 households towards a middle class society. The rest is a second thrust about the improving well-being for all. We still continuing giving to the people the basic needs, the basic amenities. We are talking about the strategies how to improve the well-being of the people. Third thrust is talking about accelerating human capital developments, very important, to ensure that our human capital capacity and capability at the level that giving a high income to the country. Here we have another game changers element here, which enabling industry of focus on the we so-called TVET, Technical and Vocational Education and Training, which we think that the emphasis on this training and also education important to our society to increase our productivity. Fourth thrust is about pursuing green growth for the sustainability and resilience. I think this one is quite it's a global agenda we incorporated in our Malaysia plan, which also have a game changer here, which embarking on the green growth, very wide topics, but we believe that by addressing or by engaging in the green growth, we will give a long-term and sustainable growth to our country. The fifth thrust talks about strengthening infrastructure to support economic expansion. We're continuing strengthening our infrastructure. And the last but not least is on the re-engineering economic growth. We're talking about the growth through the greater prosperity. We have three very specific game changers talking about enhancing productivity, innovations to wealth, and also competitive cities. So basically in the 11 plan, these are the 12 aspects, the 6 thrusts and also the 6 game changers that we are emphasis on, and to ensure that our economies will grow well and also have a better future. So if we look at the first thrust, I just trying to focus here on the first thrust due to the maybe time, very limited time here. I would like to focus on the first thrust, which consists of our game changer, uplifting of the B40 household towards a middle class society, which the main point here is about talking about a decent quality of life for all, and a graduate in every household, at least a graduate in every household, and also productive entrepreneur community in the B40. B40 means the bottom 40 of the household in our country. So the governments pay full attention on B40 development, especially on the capacity and capability to uplift their life, especially in their income. So there's the elements that we put up here under the inclusiveness. First is about empowering community for a productive and prosperous society, and also we focus on the improving rural areas. So I mean the infrastructure part, especially on the road, and then we enhancing in terms of Bumiputra participation, and also we trying to realize the investment through the corridor. I think it's very important here to accelerate regional growth, and also uplifting the B40 towards a middle class society, as I mentioned, as one of the game changer here, which the mean income of the B40 will be increased by 2020 to up to the ringgit Malaysia 5,270. So this is a gist of the inclusiveness trust that we focus on, and some key initiative that we put here is very high level key initiative on the inclusivity. So the inclusivity to ensure all the Malaysian benefits from the economic growth, regardless the gender, ethnicity, socio-economic trust, and also their geographical locations. And some of the initiative that we put up here, the main point here is to uplifting vulnerable household. And then also we have segments, 6 target segments, which are very important elements or segments in our society. And then also we ensure the balanced geographical growth to ensure everybody have a touch or have a link to the developments. Okay, so I think that's all. For my presentation, what I would like to say here is that we we already discussed, and we also strategize our strategy for 11 plan so that we have in the future we have a better community and better inclusiveness in our country. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Brother Abdul Halim. Brother Abdul Halim is from EPU. So you can keep your questions for the end of the session, and you can forward the questions to him later. So the next speaker is Dato Hafsah Hashim. She's the CEO of the SME Corp. Yeah. So, Puan, please.
Thank you very much, Prof. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon to all. After the dynamic presentation from Catherine and a presentation full of statistics from EPU hovering at 30,000 feet, I hope I'll be able to bring you down to ground zero. As we want to see how we are implementing those policies that EPU has put in place, that would benefit the SMEs who are what EPU term again as a game changer. These are the agents of change that's going to drive through the economy and to make sure that we are able to meet and be able to arrive at the targets that we set for ourselves. Now, what I plan to do is just very quickly to talk to you about a quick report card of where we are today, what we have achieved, and then we go into the how to do it. That is through the SME Master Plan that was launched in 2012 and the progress of that master plan. And moving into RMK11, where we do the SMEs aligned ourselves, in particular that has been mentioned by Halim, aligning to the B40 that SME Corp has been tasked to do to lead into that development, and that where do we move forward from there. Now, a quick report card of where the SMEs are. We undertook already twice census, once in 2005 and the other in 2011. And by 2012, when we undertook a census, it showed that majority of the companies in terms of size, 77% are micro. And here is where the big challenge is, and that's where the B40 comes into very important in terms of the role of how we're going to drive through the economy. When 77% are micro enterprises, and believe you me, these are companies that are less than 5 workers, it's going to be a big challenge. And henceforth, when we move forward, it's no one size that fits all, right? We cannot just lump them together and try to pull them up, because that's going to be a big challenge. So you will see later how we're going to do it differently, making sure that the micro enterprises, this 77%, are not left out, and that's where the inclusive growth is going to come from. Yet, you must remember that the biggest growth is going to come from the medium-sized companies, and that's the 3%. And they require a different treatment from the micro enterprises. And when we had looked at the actual data sets on where these companies are, which sectors they are, majority of them, as you can see from the slides, they are in the services sector. More than 90% of them are in the services sector, only 7% are in the manufacturing. And we thought all these years and months that a lot of our SMEs are in the manufacturing sector. As we go down into the census, it confirms that majority of the businesses are indeed in the services sector, in which majority of them in the services sector are in the wholesale and the retail sector, which comprise 43%. Now, our report card for 2014 shows that in terms of GDP, voila, 35%. In terms of exports, it's 17.8%. And in terms of the contribution to employment now, we have reached 65%. So 35.9% is a good figure, because we set ourselves to become a developed nation status. Like all other developed countries, the minimum contribution to GDP must hit about 40% from SMEs, all right? So we have moved from then before, when we started 10 years ago at 32%, now you've come up to 35.9%, almost 36%. And every year, if we were to grow at 1% a year, bingo. We hit the target of the minimum that we have to arrive, that is at 40% contribution from SMEs to call ourselves a developed nation status by 2020. How do we do this? Now, we do engagement. I believe in the 4 principles, which is the 4 C's. My 4 C's are to connect, to communicate, to consult, and to collaborate. I don't have a 4-carat diamond, right? Now, that collaboration, that consultation happens top up and bottom down. It's got to be something which is policies that are relevant to the SMEs to implement. It's not something that is hovering at 30,000 feet and you dream and you hope that someone is going to implement it. And that's why we did our connect, we did our consult, we also collaborate with them to make sure that the SMEs themselves understand and take ownership of the policies of the programs that we put in place. And this is something that is seen in our report card. Ever since we decided to do this way back in 2005, as mentioned by Professor, I became the CEO in 2005. I believe in the principle, what you can't measure, you can't plan. When you can't plan, you can't manage. I want statistics, and I need to know where we are today. That was in 2005. And when we began to measure our performance of SMEs versus the compounded average growth of the overall GDP, then we have got a report card to show. We can see the trend here that year on year, every year our SMEs grew 1 to 2% higher than the average, compounded average growth of the GDP. Good, it shows that bingo, on the ground, something actually works. The funds that the government put in place actually benefited the SMEs, but that's not enough, because we have to have that leapfrog growth to call ourselves a developed nation status. What you saw here on the chart is that in 2007, we even hit a double-digit growth then, 10.7%. Okay? What happens in 2007? Anyone want to make a guess? That was actually a Visit Malaysia year. And that Visit Malaysia year, you saw the effects trickle down to the small companies, to the micro enterprises. It trickled down to even those who do the handicrafts, for example. And we saw then, the first time ever, we hit a double-digit growth at 10.7%. And last year, another good year for us. We hit 13.6% growth in 2014. We anticipated if everything is at cruising speed, right, we should be growing at 7.9%, but we hit 13.6%. How did we do it? That was a technical default I'll just share with you today. Because in 2014, 1st of January, we actually redefined our SMEs definition so that it is actually almost the same definition as Singapore, as Thailand, as Indonesia, as the Philippines. Before this, our definition of SMEs was 150 workers, if you realize that. And we're among the smallest in the region. And to be able to check ourselves and to compare ourselves apple to apple, we decided to do a redefinition. We approached